It was a little past 10 when I first heard the sound. Faint, strained. Not a cry, not a growl, more like something broken trying to speak. It didn't belong to the forest. It didn't belong to the night. It was calling for help. I stepped out onto the porch, flashlight in hand, heart already speeding up. A thick mountain fog wrapped around the trees, blurring their edges like a smudged painting. The gravel path leading past the shed and into the woods seemed longer than usual, heavier. The sound came again, higher, desperate. I followed it. My boots barely made a sound on the frost-covered ground. Every few steps I stopped to listen, sweeping the flashlight beam side to side. Then it caught something, a shape by the ditch. Small, still, curled tight. I stepped closer, slow and cautious. The beam lit up soft, spotted fur, and then it looked at me, gray-blue eyes, glazed with pain but open, a snow leopard cub. I couldn't move. It didn't growl, didn't flinch, just lay there watching me. Its sides moved fast and shallow, each breath a struggle. Its leg was twisted, blood caked around its hip, and yet it didn't seem afraid, only exhausted. This didn't make sense. Snow leopards weren't supposed to be here, not in these woods, not this low, and definitely not alone. For a moment, I considered turning back, calling someone, but I already knew what that meant. Forms, delay, no guarantee of help. This cub didn't have hours. I slipped off my coat and knelt beside it. "I'm not going to hurt you," I said quietly. It didn't move. I gently wrapped in the coat, careful of the wound. It was lighter than I expected. Bones and silence. The walk back was a blur. I kept looking over my shoulder, expecting the forest to answer, but it stayed still. Jenny opened the door when she saw the light. Her eyes widened. "What the hell is that?" "Snow leopard cub. Hurt bad." She took a step back. "Are you serious?" "Yeah." I pushed past her and headed for the shed. "It's dying." We cleared the space out in a rush. Old tarp, towels, a crate turned on its side. I laid the cub down and stepped back. It didn't move, just shivered. Jenny hovered by the door. "You think the mother's nearby?" she asked. "I don't know. Maybe. Then what if she comes looking?" I didn't have an answer. That night we didn't sleep. Every branch crack made us flinch. I checked on the cub at least 6 times. Still breathing. Barely. Around 4, Jenny made coffee and stared out the window. "We're not ready for this," she said. "No one is," I said. Just before dawn, the sound came. Not close, not far either. A long, low call that cut through the fog like a warning. Then another, different tone, like a reply. Jenny stood. "What is that?" "Others," I said. "Maybe her mother." She didn't speak. Neither did I. We just listened as the voices of mountains woke up, wild, searching, and far too close for comfort. The cub didn't stir, but her ears moved. She heard it too. The morning after was colder than usual. The kind of cold that makes your breath stick to your beard and your fingers sting even through gloves. I hadn't slept. Neither had Jenny. Every hour, I'd check the shed, expecting the worst. But the cub, Frost, as Sarah had started calling her, was still alive. Barely. She lay curled, her breast shallow, one leg stretched at a wrong angle. The gash on her side had started to darken. She was fighting, but I didn't know how much longer she could. "I need Mike," I said. Jenny didn't argue. She just nodded, her eyes puffy from a sleepless night. I drove fast down the mountain road, tires skidding on frozen mud. Mike's cabin sat half buried in a grove, its windows fogged with condensation. I pounded on the door. "What?" came a voice from inside. "It's me. I've got an injured snow leopard cub." Silence. Then the door creaked open. Mike looked like hell, bedhead, half a shirt, coffee stained down his front. "You serious?" "I wouldn't be here if I wasn't." He groaned and waved me in. After a quick explanation, he grabbed his kit and followed me back up. When we reached the shed, he paused at the door. "She's in there?" "Yeah, she hasn't moved." He opened the door and stepped in slowly. For a moment, he didn't say anything, just knelt beside her. Then he let out a low breath. She's worse than I thought. He got to work, disinfected the wound, pulled a twisted shard of wire from her side. Likely fencing, maybe a snare. She whimpered once, but didn't fight. Strong one, he muttered. She should be dead. Sarah appeared at the door just as Mike was finishing up. Is she going to make it? She asked. Mike didn't answer. I looked at her. We're trying. She stepped inside carefully and sat next to me on the floor. She needs a name, Sarah said. She's part of us now. You already gave her one. I reminded her. Then she needs to hear it. Sarah leaned in close and whispered, You're safe now, Frost. Mike packed up in silence. She'll need warmth, water, and quiet. No loud noises. No stress. She'll get it, I said. He paused before walking out. She's wild. Don't forget that. I stayed in the shed most of the day. Jenny brought food and didn't say much. Sarah sat outside drawing snow leopards in a sketchbook. By late afternoon, the text started. Someone had seen Mike's truck. Someone else had heard from a cousin that we had a snow leopard. Then the sheriff's office called. Richard's voice was tight. Tell me this isn't true. I didn't lie. She's just a cub, injured. She wouldn't have made it otherwise. He sighed. You know this isn't legal. I know. I'm not turning this into a thing. Not yet, but you got people calling in, saying their kids are scared. Livestock's at risk. You're pushing your luck. I'm not hiding anything. You better hope nothing happens. When I hung up, Jenny looked at me. How bad is it? Worse than yesterday. That night, I checked the shed again. Frost hadn't moved much, but her ears twitched when I entered. Her eyes opened, just a crack. I sat beside her, watching her chest rise and fall. Around midnight, I heard something. Not from inside. Outside. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. I killed the shed light and opened the door a crack. Just enough to see. Boot prints. Big ones. Fresh in the frost. Beside them, paws. Someone had been out there. Clothes. Watching. Not just animals. Not just people. Both. And they were getting closer. I wasn't planning on seeing her. Not that morning. Not like that. I had just stepped out with a coffee, still shaking off the cold from a sleepless night. The fog hadn't lifted yet. It hung low over the woods, swallowing the trees at their base. The world was quiet. Too quiet. Then I felt it again, that sensation like something watching me. Heavy. Focused. I turned toward the edge of the property. There she was, just standing there, half shadowed by spruce trunks. The mother snow leopard, larger than I expected, still as stone, her tail curled low behind her. Her eyes met mine, not with anger, not with fear, just with a kind of silent calculation. She didn't come closer, didn't retreat, just watched. Her gaze flicked to the shed, then back to me. I didn't move. I lifted my hand a little, not a wave, more like acknowledgement. And just like that, she turned and vanished into the trees. Inside the house, Jenny's face was pale. Was that her? Yeah. Did she do anything? No. She just looked. Do you think she'll be back? I bet on it. Frost didn't seem to react much that morning. She was alert but quiet. Her strength was coming back, slow but sure. She sniffed at food, lapped a bit of water. Still mostly lay curled in the corner, but her eyes tracked movement now. Later that day, the sheriff showed up. Richard was already annoyed before he got out of the truck. His boots hit the gravel like thunder. Got folks calling nonstop, he said. Somebody saw a big cat this morning. Others say you've got a dangerous animal in your shed. Want to tell me what's going on? I already did, I replied. She's injured. We're helping. He sighed and rubbed his face. You're in deep, friend. People are scared. They're talking about livestock, about their kids walking to school. I get it. I don't think you do. You're not just sheltering an animal now. You're the guy everyone's blaming when something goes wrong. She's just a cub. She's still a predator. He didn't issue a threat. Didn't need to. His eyes said enough. That night, things finally cracked. Jenny sat down at the table hard, tears welling up in her eyes. Sarah got called a freak. Again, parents are warning their kids to stay away from her. She's a kid, I said quietly. She's being treated like she's dangerous because we're keeping a wild animal in our backyard. I didn't argue. What could I say? She shook her head. I didn't sign up for this. I nodded. Neither did I. I slept in the shed that night. Frost watched me from the corner. Her chest rose slow and steady. When I shifted, she didn't flinch anymore. Just stared, eyes calm, unreadable. Then, for the first time, she stood, walked, slowly, over to the middle of the shed. Her leg trembled, but held. She lay down there, not far from me. Something was changing, but it wasn't peace yet. The next morning, Carter, the neighbor from up the road, came storming down our path. His dog was missing, chain broken, no prints. I'm not saying it's your Leopard, he growled, but if I see anything with fur near my place, I'll shoot first and ask later. Then he left. Later, I walked the perimeter just to clear my head, and I saw them again. Tracks, not just Frost's, larger, and beside them, boots, heavy ones, deep in the frost. Someone had been near the shed, someone who wasn't me, human and cat, side by side. I didn't tell Jenny, didn't tell Sarah, but I locked the shed tighter that night, sat on the porch with the rifle across my lap, because it wasn't just about helping a cub anymore. Something else had stepped into the picture, and it was watching us all. They showed up just after noon. 2 unmarked vans pulled halfway onto our property, tires chewing through mud, reporters already stepping out before the engines went quiet. I knew the moment had come. Someone had talked. Jenny met them at the edge of the porch, arms crossed. We're not giving interviews. One of them, a woman with a camera crew in tow, didn't even flinch. People have a right to know if there's a predator being kept near their homes, especially an endangered one. She's a cub, I said, stepping forward, and she's recovering. Quietly, without hurting anyone. We'll keep our distance, she lied. They didn't. Evening came with the buzz of social media. Someone had snapped a blurry photo. Then another. Text poured in. Calls. Accusations. Offers. Threats. I sat on the porch, scrolling through them until the screen blurred. Jenny joined me, her face tight. This was supposed to stay private. Sarah? I asked. She's in her room, crying again. The next day, Sarah came home from school without a word. She didn't eat, just curled up on the couch with her sketch pad. I saw what she was drawing, Frost, but this time with a cage around her. Later that night, I took Frost to the edge of the woods. She was walking now, limping, yes, but upright. I carried her the last few yards and set her down. She looked around, her ears turned, her nose lifted, and then, like before from the trees, her mother, still watching, still not coming closer. Frost looked between us, took one cautious step toward the trees, then stopped, looked back. After a moment, she turned and limped back to me, pressed herself lightly against my leg. I lifted her, heart cracking. Back home, Mike showed up unannounced. He stood in the doorway with that same heavy look he always wore when things weren't going the right way. She's not ready to go, I told him. I figured. Cubs raised away from the wild. It's hard to know when the wild will take them back. She still wants it, though. You can feel it. He nodded. You're in deep now. Most people run from this kind of thing. You're walking toward it. We sat out back in silence, the kind only mountain woods can offer. Then, just past midnight, everything shut down. The lights blinked, then died. The house, the shed, pitch black. Jenny shouted from inside, "What's going on?" I grabbed a flashlight, ran to the back panel. The breaker was smashed. Not flipped, shattered. My stomach dropped. I ran to the shed. The door was wide open. Frost was gone. Tracks in the mud told the story. She hadn't been taken. She'd run. And not alone. 2 sets of tracks, small, padded paws. And boots. The human prints were deep, confident. not hesitant. Whoever was with her knew what they were doing. I followed the trail as far as I could, up past the fence line, into the start of the dense trees. But eventually the ground turned hard, the prints faded, and I stopped. Back home, Jenny met me at the door. Someone broke in, didn't they? I nodded. She's gone. The next morning, I walked the ridge at dawn. I found the trail again. Smaller prints now, more spaced, like she was running. But not toward her mother, not even toward the forest she came from. Somewhere new. She had made a choice. Now I had to decide if I was brave enough to let it stand. We left before the sky changed color. The horizon still a bruise of dark blue. Just me and Sarah, bundled in layers, driving slowly along the frozen edge of the road. Neither of us spoke. The cab of the truck was quiet except for the hum of the heater and the occasional slosh of melting snow on the windshield. We followed the trail where it began, near the fence, just beyond the shed. Small paw prints. Light, focused, no drag marks. She wasn't limping anymore. She ran like she knew where she was going. I said finally. Sarah didn't look at me, because she did. We parked when the path ended. The trees here grew tighter. The ground turned to icy moss and hidden rock. Beyond the rise was a place I hadn't walked in years, too remote, too steep. But now it felt like the only place she could be. We climbed in silence. The forest held its breath. No birds, no movement. 2 hours in, we found a hollow tucked beneath an outcrop of stone, shielded by low pine and bare mountain ash. I crouched before we crossed in. Look! Sarah followed my hand. There she was. Frost. She stood near a shallow dip in the ground where a larger snow leopard lay, breathing unevenly. Her flank was stained with blood, her eyes half-lidded, but alert. 2 tiny cubs wriggled against her side. And Frost. Frost was standing guard. Her shoulders were tense, her tail low but steady. She glanced at us. No fear, no recognition either. Just awareness. She stayed, Sarah whispered. She didn't run. She stayed to protect them. We didn't move. We didn't need to. I slowly reached into my coat and pulled out the old cloth, the one we'd wrapped her in the night we found her. I set it down on a rock and backed away. Frost didn't approach, but her ears flicked. She saw. She knew. After a few minutes, I touched Sarah's shoulder. We should go. She looked at me with tears forming. Is this goodbye? Maybe, I said, but not the end. The hike down was quiet. The forest felt different. Not safer, not calmer, just understood. That night we sat on the porch. Just like always, Jenny handed out mugs of cocoa and said nothing. She didn't have to. We all felt it. The loss, the relief, the pride. Then, from deep in the woods, a sound, a call. Not loud, not sharp, but clear. Frost. Sarah sat up straight. She's okay. I know, I said. And now, each year when spring stirs the trees and the snow begins to pull back on the hills, we hear that sound again. Soft, steady, a reminder that something wild once trusted us, that a young life made its way home, and that the hardest part of love is knowing when to let it go. We don't always see her now, but we don't need to. She's out there, watching, and she's not alone.